So in this video, I'll show you how you can use the NocoDB block to either insert a new row, update an existing row, or search for any rows from your NocoDB table. So for the sake of the example for the video, I've created that leads table in my NocoDB account. So we currently have three what I call leads with a column name and a column email. So that's a basic table, right? And I've created that just typebot from scratch with a menu that has three options, either create lead, update lead, or search lead. And we'll go through each example with the NocoDB block and how you can use it for these cases. So let's start with the create lead. So what we need is actually collecting the name of a prospect and the email of the prospect, for example, and then we want to insert a new row in our table that I just showed you with the NocoDB block on typebot, right? So let's add my NocoDB account. So let's call it, for example, typebot, and I can get my API tokens by directly clicking here, copy and paste it. Okay, and then we want to create record, right? And we need the table ID. Unfortunately, we can't fetch it dynamically, so we need to go to our table here, and we can click on that menu button and copy the table ID here. I go back to my typebot, paste it here, and then we need to map the fields that we want to insert into our NocoDB table. So for that, we need to manually enter the fields. So let's say name, and we want to enter the collected variable name we just collected here. And we also want to insert the email field with the email variable, right? And then we can add also a display message that says success. So let's try it out. That's first case, create lead. So create lead, new name would be John, and we can say john@company.com, and it says success. Let's go back to our table. We can maybe reload it. So you'll need to reload your table. Maybe I could just have clicked on reload here, and we can see our new lead here. So it worked perfectly. That's great. Now let's say that we want to update, for example, an existing row. So let's go through the second case. So we can ask for the email input like this. So we collect the email. And then what should be the new name? So for that use case, we ask for the email and we ask for a new name for that email to update the existing row with that email, and we update the name field, right? So we collect the name like this, or we can say new name, or it doesn't matter, right? So let's add a NocoDB block, and this time we are selecting update existing record. So let's get the table ID here, and we also we can optionally provide a view ID. It doesn't matter in this case, but the view ID, right? If you have several views, you can use it to further filter out existing records, right? But I have just one view. But you could provide your view ID. It's optional there. Then select records is the section where you say, okay, I need to match the record with those specific fields, right? So we need to match the email field, and it should be equal to the email we just collected, right? And then we just need to update any fields that you'd like. In this case, we want to update the name field with the name just collected here. And let's try it out. Update lead. So for our case, we want to, update John. like this. And we could provide a new name. So we could say Jack, for example. So there I didn't have a success message, but in theory it should work. So let's reload. And as you can see now, it's not John, it's Jack. Perfect. We've updated a record in our table. Now let's do the third scenario where we can search for leads. So in that case, I can directly show you this. So typebot. Okay, again, let's take the table ID. So search records. Let's select table ID. Again, you can provide a view ID, it's optional. And there you can filter out the records you are looking for. So in our case, maybe we'd like to see, maybe we'd like to just select one record. Let's do that as a first example. So email should equal to, let's say, the user we've just created, john@company.com. And then we can map the response, so what we got, in variables. And those variables will be available in our typebot. So we can say, okay, let's map the name to our name variable. And let's also map the email to our email variable, right? And we can, for example, display those variables here. So found record, name and email, right? Like this. So let's try it out. Search lead, found record, Jack and John@company.com. So even though I've selected the all option here, I could have selected, the first, last, or random. Because we've actually just found one record, it provided just a single, right? A single record for the variables. But let's say now we need to get all the emails that ends with gmail.com, right? So let's say, okay, email should end with gmail.com. And now we know that because we've selected all, I could select first, last, and random to get only a single item here. But if we select all, we'll have several names and several emails. And as you can see, it should provide several names in the emails there. There, Catherine, Thomas, etc., etc. So what you can do now, we have a variable with a list variable, right? And for example, we could add a button with a dynamic data with all the emails that are in the email variable, and it should look like this. Catherine and Thomas @gmail.com, right? So possibilities are endless here. You can use NocoDB as your external database. You can create new rows, you can update existing rows, and you can search for existing rows, and you can search for multiple rows. So I hope this video helps you understand how the NocoDB block works. And see you in the next video.